Thank you for joining me today. My name is Dr. David Ayers, and we will cover a safety short, episode 3, Reducing Fire Potential in the Fire Tetrahedron, brought to you by the Occupational Safety Leadership Podcast and Applied Safety and Environmental Management. Let's just get started. So here we have the fire tetrahedron. So oxygen is about 20.9% of the atmosphere of everything we breathe every day. And part of the tetrahedron is you have heat, fuel, and oxygen. You have to have them in the right proportions for a fire to happen then. If you take away one of these legs, a fire just literally cannot happen under any circumstance. And so what a fire extinguisher does is it will interrupt that chemical chain reaction. It'll take away the heat, the fuel, or the oxygen, depending upon the fire and the type of fire extinguisher that's being used in this. So a couple of the strategies that we want to use to look at reducing that fire potential. You can see in the picture that we have here, we have a series of warehouses. These are not all completely filled chemical containers, but you can see where they're all stacked and lined up real nice and neat and done by hazard class and all that good stuff then. So they've done a really good job here. So the first one is when we sit down and can separate the fuel and heat sources. If you keep them apart, you can't have a fire. We want to work on housekeeping. Housekeeping issues are almost like rabbits. You end up with one, you end up with two, you end up with four. Before you know it, you just have all kinds of housekeeping issues. Typically, they come in the form of wooden skids and pallets. If you think about paper and your everyday trash and rags and that kind of stuff, then so really keep up on the housekeeping then. Test your fire alarm annually. That obviously will not reduce your fire potential, but that's something that you got to have so that you can really depend on it if a fire happens. We want to put as much effort as we possibly can to make sure that it doesn't happen, but we also have to have that fire alarm working, so if it does happen, we know about it as quick as we possibly can. Weekly or monthly inspections. We're looking, of course, not just at housekeeping, but other things like frayed cords. Is there anything else that's happening out there that's going to contribute to a fire? And of course, you can make this part of a larger inspection program, and certainly not just isolated on fire things. We've already talked about storing the chemicals by hazard class. Let's go on to the next slide here. Any spills. So you could have a spill when transferring. You're just picking it up, you're moving it by forklift, pallet jack, whatever the deal is. You literally could also have where there's just a valve that just won't close, and there's going to be that little bit of a leak. Clean up leaks as quick as you possibly can. So conduct regular maintenance on equipment. Maintenance always needs equipment always needs maintenance, and obviously as it gets older, it needs a lot more love and attention. So take care of that before that you have a issue pop up. Designated smoking areas. We've done a pretty good job in the states of going back and making sure that people are smoking outside of a building 20 feet away and all that good stuff. We want to continue those activities to really make sure. And then finally, hot work permits. There's any kind of welding, burning. If you're producing a spark of some sort, you want to do everything you can to have a permit, which means you're going to go through a checklist and say, I'm ready to weld. I've moved away the chemicals. I've looked for any spills. I have my fire watch. I have everything ready to go. There's not anything that can burn within, say, 30, 40 feet. All right, I'm ready to go. The company now issues out a permit and says you can now go ahead and weld. If that is not an option, sometimes what you can do is take the take the piece outside to a safe place in the parking lot and do some welding out there too. So there's a lot of different ways of looking at how to tackle this. The key is that you're doing everything you can not to have a fire and not have to go back and worry about the rest and all that stuff. That's really kind of the key in this whole deal then. So that's our safety short for today. I want to thank the Occupational Safety and Leadership Podcast for helping to sponsor this, along with Applied Safety Management. We will have more of these safety shorts in the very near future. And have a safe day.